Hi class, this is Kelsey Lawlor, and I'm going to talk about my research for this first week. I decided to do some research on using songs and music for instruction partly because I think I want to teach kindergarten, and I think using music would be especially significant in that kind of setting. So on songsforteaching.net there was a lot of great information about how we can use music and movement to help students understand language. Also, the first thing I learned, or I was reminded of really, is that music is a universal language, and that kind of makes a lot of sense. So it kind of leads into how we can use music for different age levels, and it kind of connects the students in a way. And also, from the time we're small, I mean, we sing lullabies to our kids, and we learn the ABC song. It starts off really young, and it makes a lot of sense because you can use music to memorize things, and it reminds you, it helps you make connections, understand language at a young age, and it helps you learn how to listen. Ways to implement music I learned from Songs for Teaching is you can start exposing a variety of music at a young age. So music itself, it can help children appreciate music. We can encourage children to listen and recognize different instruments in music. These are ways that we can help them understand music and appreciate it. And another thing with music is it definitely helps implement a routine. Even with my daughter, we started going to a class once a week, and now at home she's always singing the cleanup song, and she reminds me that's she learned it from school. And so if we start, especially with the younger children, we start, because I know with the high schoolers it might be kind of odd to sing a cleanup song, for instance, but with the younger students we can definitely implement songs to remind them, okay, this is what we do next. It kind of reminds them of the routine, helps them remember things. And with older students too, there was some information. There are definitely songs you can make up to help kids remember things. Music is a great way to not only remember it, just for a test, but in the long run. You might not remember these certain facts, but you'll remember the tune, you'll remember the song. It can be used for math using rhythm. It can be used for history. You can play different music for different eras that you're talking about. So I learned that, music isn't just for kindergartners, which is probably what I would be using it for, but I think even in the older grades you can use it too. So I'd be interested in learning how other teachers would use music in their classroom, especially in the older grades, because it's probably not as common. I also wanted to do a little research on differentiated teaching, because I've learned about it before, but sometimes I forget exactly what it is. But I was reminded that it's, adapting your teaching to the different skills and needs of your students. I learned some ways from readingrockets.org. You can use small groups. That helps, each group can have a different kind of skill level. So you can work on something with this group, something else with this group, and so on. You can also use different methods to explain things, like some students are visual, some students learn through, hands-on. Every student is going to have a different way of learning, and that's one of the things that I'm anxious to learn more about, because I always feel like it's got to be so hard to be able to first you got to get to know your students to know how they learn, and then you have to figure out ways to help them learn with their individual needs. I also learned from Reading Rockets that you should use a rubric that would apply to different skill levels. So if if one student doesn't really fit that criteria, it should be a rubric that would fit all those skill levels. So it's not like they're not going to do, just because they learn differently doesn't mean they're going to get a bad grade. I also learned that we should create an environment that allows students to work how they need. I know some students need a lot of they need to be moving around. Some students want to be really still. Some students might need music, like we just talked about. So yeah, there's so many different ways that students learn, and it's kind of, as a student myself, it's kind of daunting to think that we have to, come up with all these ways. But I'm learning that just these simple things that I've already learned helps me realize that it's, though I'm sure it's difficult, it's definitely manageable. And the last thing I did a little bit of research on, just a little bit, because in my last class with Professor Hike, we talked about we actually did the Genius Hour. So every week we would work on the project that we picked, and at the end we presented it. And this was a challenge for me, because I'm so used to being told exactly what you do, and usually it's like writing papers and you turn it at this time. So of course, because this was such a new idea to be able to do whatever I wanted, I decided to write a paper. Looking back, I almost wish I would have done something else, because I think the Genius Hour really allows, though I did pick something that I was passionate about, the Genius Hour really allows you to explore something that you've been interested in, and it kind of motivates you more because it's something that you're passionate about. And I think it's really a great concept, and I think it's something I'd like to know how to implement it more in younger grades. Sorry, I'm outside. Yeah, I'd like to know how we can implement it with these younger kids, and I kind of got to see how it would work with college students because we did it in our class. But yeah, I'd like to see how we could implement it in our classroom. So alright, thanks guys.